The storyline of Meghan Markle being a sort of reincarnation of Lady Diana because of the cruel British press and the cold-hearted palace has been around for years and wasn't just pushed by observers, but also Harry and Meghan themselves. But are the lives and situations of those two women even comparable? Let's find out. Although Meghan and Diana both received enormous press coverage, especially on their wedding days, the first member of the royal family whose wedding was broadcasted on television was the current queen in 1947. Time has passed, and when Diana became a part of the royal family, the camera was not just following her at official events, but more so in her everyday life. Diana, born into British nobility as Diana Frances Spencer, was 19 years old when she fell in love with Prince Charles, who was 12 years older than the shy and sexually inexperienced woman, with the press often referring to her as Shy Di. When it became public news in 1980 that Diana was Prince Charles's girlfriend by the British tabloid newspaper The Sun, press and public were intrigued by the young lady and the overall interest greater than ever before when it came to a member of the royal family. The Queen of Hearts was born. But with light comes darkness. From now on, Diana was followed as well as oftentimes harassed by reporters and paparazzi around the clock and everywhere she went, even her phone calls were intercepted. The hunt ended on August 31, 1997 at the Pont de l'Alma tunnel in Paris. Around half an hour after midnight, Diana's and her then boyfriend Donny Al-Fayed's car crashed against a tunnel pillar. Paparazzi entered the scene after the accident had happened. The driver, Henry Paul, and Donny Al-Fayed died at the accident scene, while Diana was presumed dead a few hours later because of her internal injuries. Only the security guard, Trevor Rees-Jones, survived the accident but with serious facial injuries. It was later revealed that none of them wore seatbelts and that the driver was, with 1.8 per ml, heavily drunk and had taken the antidepressant Prozac, as well as a neuroleptic for, ironically, the treatment of alcoholism called Tiapride. There is no doubt that no member of the royal family has been treated so harsh and oftentimes unfair by the public media as Meghan Markle, since Lady Diana. But even though there were mistakes made by the palace regarding the two women, and both of them were unhappy in their new environment, this doesn't make Meghan a Diana 2.0. When Meghan started to date Prince Harry in 2016, she was not only in her mid-30s and divorced, but also a confident, cosmopolitan, as well as established actress who was living in Los Angeles at the time and familiar in dealing with the press. Of course, the paparazzi tried to get photos and the public was interested in her, but it wasn't a hunt comparable to that Diana had to experience, part of it being the reason that Meghan wasn't dating the royal successor, but, quote-unquote, just the number 5 at the time. Apart from official events, there are almost no photos of Meghan after she finally moved to Harry, part of the reason being that Meghan was protected by Scotland Yard security guards right from the beginning. But there is a dimension Diana had, different from Meghan, not to fear: social media, although she still suffered from the pressure put on her by the press. The most daunting aspect was the media attention, because my husband and we were told when we got engaged that the media would go quietly, and it didn't. And then when we were married, they said it would go quietly, and it didn't. And then it started to focus very much on me, and I seemed to be on the front of a newspaper every single day, which is an isolating experience, and the higher the media puts you, place you, is the bigger the drop, and I was very aware of that. Nonetheless, the princess never had to make the experience of being watched, criticized and insulted by faceless strangers hiding behind the curtain of anonymity. Meghan described her experience in a podcast in relation to the World Mental Health Day. I can speak personally because I'm told that in 2019 I was the most trolled person in the entire world, male or female. Now 8 months of that I wasn't even visible. I was on maternity leave or with a baby. But what was able to just be manufactured and churned out, it's almost unsurvivable. A similarity between Meghan's and Diana's biography is that both women caused a stir because of interviews in which they more or less exposed the royal family. In 1995, Princess Diana answered 143 questions asked by journalist Martin Bashir in an interview which was viewed by 22.8 million people in Britain and later broadcasted in over 100 countries with a total viewership of over 200 million. The main topics discussed revolved around Diana's struggle with the press, bulimia, her and Prince Charles's marital problems, as well as her feeling of getting sabotaged by the royal family after the couple decided to separate. People's agendas changed overnight. I was now a separated wife of the Prince of Wales. I was a problem. I was a liability. And how are we going to deal with her? This hasn't happened before. Mental health issues, the feeling of isolation and helplessness, accompanied by accusations regarding the behavior of the royal family, are obvious similarities between the two interviews. The biggest difference lies in the objective untruths told by the couple. I've already made a video about the inconsistent statements Meghan and Harry have made during their interview with Oprah Winfrey, which I will link in the description box. This is probably the reason why Diana's interview received mostly positive reactions, while Meghan and Harry were viewed even more critically afterwards because they've stated many claims which were falsified soon after, while Harry's mother mainly talked about her emotional life, making falsification very difficult. Apart from this, 25 years after Diana's interview, in November 2020, her brother Earl Spencer raised accusations against Martin Bashir, claiming to have received fake bank statements and documents defaming senior members of the royal family, which led him to introduce him to his sister. The fake bank statements indicated that people around her had been paid for spying on her, making it seem like she should use the interview as an opportunity to tell her side of the story before others come out with private information about her. A handwritten note was found by BBC stating that Bashir had not pressured her into giving the interview and that she was afraid of not having the right to speak about matters of her royal life after she and her husband Prince Charles divorced, which she told BBC royal correspondent Jenny Bond in 1996. In March 2021, Bashir denied any association with spreading smears about the royal family, for example that Prince Charles had an affair with his children's nanny to gain Diana's trust so that she would agree to the interview. As it turned out, Bashir was indeed responsible for providing the princess with a fake, quote-unquote, receipt to prove that the nanny had gotten pregnant by the Prince of Wales before the interview. Regarding the circumstances of the interview, an independent investigation was initiated by BBC and announced on November 18, 2020. Former Supreme Court Judge John Dyson, who was leading the investigation, found Martin Bashir guilty of, quote-unquote, deceit and breaching BBC editorial conduct to obtain the interview, while the BBC was criticized for supporting Bashir's story, knowing the details of how he had gotten into the position of the interviewer. This now revealed truth sheds a different light on Diana's situation at the time and her intentions for agreeing to talk about such controversial topics, while Meghan and Harry went into their interview with Oprah by choice. Lady Diana was a dedicated member of the royal family for 11 years, while Meghan and Harry announced their exit after only 2 years. 2 years in which Meghan Markle went from a semi-famous actress to one of the most influential women on this planet, left the palace and moved back to the United States, now being the Duchess of Sussex. Without the support of her husband, all of this wouldn't have been possible, and this makes Prince Harry the biggest difference between his wife Meghan and his mother Diana. Princess Diana not only had to give birth to a male heir to the throne, but her love stayed unrequited because Prince Charles wanted to marry Camilla Parker Bowles, which he eventually did in 2005, and she had to face her opponents alone. This is a situation in which Meghan Markle hasn't found herself in while she was an active member of the royal family, since Prince Harry was always by her side. Both of them are aware of it. As Harry stated during their interview with Oprah Winfrey, "I'm just really relieved and happy to be sitting here talking to you with my wife by my side, because I can't begin to imagine what it must have been like for her, going through this process by herself all those years ago, because it's been unbelievably tough for the two of us, but at least we had each other." Although there might be some similarities when it comes to the lives of these two women, there are some serious differences. And even if some parallels in relation to Meghan remind Prince Harry painfully of his mother Diana, there's a fine line between admiration and instrumentalizing her for their own narrative. Therefore, the couple shouldn't get too tempted to stylize the former Queen of Hearts and to emphasize some of the dark similarities between the two women, but instead continue Diana's philanthropic work and by doing so, step out of her shadow. What do you think? Are Meghan's and Diana's situations comparable? Let me know in the comment section below. Thank you so much for watching, subscribe if you want to, and I will, hopefully, see you in my next video.